Raman spectroscopy. Okay, so these parts, so these are the points that we will be covering. So what we have seen, that we will be dealing with the Raman spectroscopy, and what will be the learning objectives to understand what is Raman effect, what is Raman spectrum, what are the characteristics of the Raman spectrum, and what are the conditions for a molecule to be Raman active. And while dealing with the Raman spectrum, we will also came across the terms like Stokes lines, anti-Stokes lines, Rayleigh line, that we will try to cover. The remaining part, that is origin of the Stokes and anti-Stokes line in the light of quantum theory, the rotational Raman spectrum of a diatomic molecule, vibrational Raman spectrum of a diatomic molecule, we will cover using the whiteboard and the marker method. So this is a paragraph. This is a paragraph from the booklet which has been published by American Chemical Society and the Indian Institute for Cultivation of Science, IICS, which is located in Calcutta, one of the very reputed institutions for the science in India. And this is the institution where Raman actually worked, and he has experimentally found the Raman effect there. He discovered the Raman effect there only. So this is the first paragraph from that booklet, and this is very, very interesting. This is a statement by Sir C.V. Raman, which he has given during the South Indian Science Association in Bangalore on 16th of March 1928. What were his words? I propose this evening to speak to you on a new kind of radiation or a light emission from the atoms and the molecule. So a new kind of radiation, that was the key word that has attracted the attention of the participants present in that conference. And Raman actually proceeded to describe a discovery that resulted in a deceptively simple experiment, a very simple experiment he has conducted. And it was conducted in a lab which was not having the facility just like the facilities which was available in the western part of the world. He used a very inexpensive equipment. One of the few things were required only, like mercury lamp, a common mercury lamp, you know, it is easily available in the market, a flask of the benzene, which is also very easily available, a direct vision packet spectroscope. So with these equipment, with these setup, he discovered the Raman effect. And the results were so astonishing that it has captured the attention of the scientists all across the globe, and bring many accolades, including the Nobel Prize, to the discovery. Okay, so I will share this booklet with all of you, because fortunately tomorrow, coincidentally tomorrow is the 20th February. 20th February, which we celebrate as a National Science Day. So I will share a booklet related to the Raman effect on our WhatsApp group. My humble request will be to all of you is to go through that booklet and understand how the discovery of the Raman effect was done, and you will also get an idea about the biography of Sir C.V. Raman through that booklet. So I will share that. With these introductory remarks, let us start our curriculum. So for the first point, first is we will try to understand what is Raman effect. Now, we all know that when a white light is passed through a prism, what happens? It gets splitted into the 7 color. What are those 7 color? VIBGR, right? And the wavelength range is roughly in the range of 360 nanometer to 700 nanometer. So this is a common phenomena that everybody has observed. Until 1928, the people have not observed what is called as a scattering of light. So what he did actually, he uses common mercury lamp, and with the help of a monochromator, a violet filter, he has converted into a violet light. And that violet light is passed through the scattering liquid, say benzene in its first experiment. So what has happened? He got the Rayleigh scattered light. Rayleigh scattered light means the light having the same frequency as that of the incident light. The incident light was violet, and he got the violet light scattered from the liquid. In addition to these, he observed additional line, which he mentioned in his talk during the that Science Congress Association, South Congress Association meeting. So what he observed, in addition to the violet light, he observed a green light which is scattered. And these lights and if you check, the violet is having higher frequency, green is having the lower frequency. So violet is converting into the green, and through a green filter he has observed the green light. This is a simple setup that he has used to understand the Raman effect. Now, before we proceed to have a better understanding of a Raman effect, let us understand what happens if this is a liquid material through which we are passing a light on it. The interesting part of the Raman effect is the microwave spectroscopy is to be studied in gaseous phase, because rotational energy levels are very small. There is a very small energy gap in the rotational energy levels. However, your Raman effect can be studied in liquid as well as gaseous phase, and in some cases it can be studied in solid phase also. So let us assume that your sample is a liquid and you are allowing a light to fall. What will be the fate of the light when you pass a light through a sample? What will happen? The first possibility is the whole light will be transmitted as such, means whatever the light you have passed through has been transmitted as it is from the substance. Number one possibility is transmission. Number two is it get reflected back from the surface, means the liquid or the substance material will not absorb any light, it will reflect back as it is with the same frequency. So have a look at the color of the arrows. I have used green color arrow. Now what happens next? Now there is a possibility that, look at this arrow, I will repeat again. Look at this arrow. The arrow goes into the substance and get vanished, means it is absorbed by the material. So third possibility is absorption. And the fourth possibility is luminescence. Luminescence means what? We have seen it in case of photochemistry, that substance absorbs light and it emits certain radiation out of it. So it can emit the light in the form of a luminescence. What is the next possibility? The next possibility is elastic scattering. Elastic scattering means the light gets scattered in all possible direction. The light gets scattered in all possible direction, and look at the color of the arrow. The incident arrow was green and the scattered arrow is also green. Means the frequency of the incident light is same as that of the scattered light. Such scattering is referred as elastic scattering or Rayleigh scattering. And this gives rise to the Rayleigh line in the Raman spectrum. We will see about the Rayleigh line in the next slide. And the next possibility, which this is not new actually. All these things are very known to the scientific world before 1928. Now, in the year 1928, what Raman actually observed is, he observed inelastic scattering. In elastic scattering, you have a look at the color of the arrows, red and the blue. Red and the blue means, red and the blue refers to the wavelength of the light higher than green and lower than the green, isn't it? So you get some additional lines which are having the frequency other than the incident line, and this is referred to the Raman scattering. Inelastic scattering or Raman scattering is one and the same. Elastic scattering and Rayleigh scattering is one and the same. So this is what happens to the light when it is allowed to fall on a material. Now what it has to do with the Raman effect? The Raman effect tells you that when a monochromatic radiation is allowed to pass through a substance in a solid, liquid or gaseous state, the light is scattered and it contains some additional frequencies other than the incident frequency. Other than the incident frequency means the light with the blue and the red arrows, means blue and the red frequency, because you have initially allowed a green light to fall on the matter and you are getting out blue and the green frequency. This phenomena is referred as Raman effect, and this has been experimentally observed by Raman. And this is the picture this is a picture of the equipment where the Raman carried out his experiment at the Indian Institute for Cultivation of Science, IICS Kolkata. And very simple experiment, very simple instrument he himself has fabricated. And so Raman effect can also be defined as the change in the wavelength of the light that occur when a light is scattered by a molecule is called as Raman effect. So incident light and the scattered light, they have different wavelength. This particular effect is called as Raman effect. The difference between the frequency of incident and the scattered light is commonly called as Raman shift. And Raman effect is dealing with the vibrational and rotational energy levels. And you know that you observe the rotational spectrum in far IR region, isn't it? Rotational spectrum in the far IR region and vibrational spectrum in the near IR region. So Raman effect is generally observed in the far end, the near IR region of an electromagnetic spectrum. Now, what are the simple application? Now you know that blue color of the sea. Sea appears blue to the human eye. We have seen it in many pictures, right? We see it in movies also. That a sky blue colored sea we usually observe. Earlier, it was thought that it is a reflection of the sky. Earlier means before 1928, it was thought that it is because of what? It is because of the the reflection of the sky. Means the sky is blue, and because of the blue color of the sky, the sea also appears blue. But it has been ruled out because of the Raman effect, and it has been proved that it is the blue color of the sea is because of the scattering of the blue light by water. So whatever the white light coming onto the water in the sea, it scatters into a blue light. So there can be many MCQs that can be designed on this particular slide. Like blue color of the sea can be explained on the basis of reflection of light, reflection of sky, then refraction, then scattering of light by water molecules, scattering of light by air. This can be the options that can be given in a paper. So you can design MCQs based on this. As you all know that you have been assigned to identify the MCQs based on the topic which has been covered during the online lectures, because your examination will be covered in the will be conducted in a online mode in a MCQ pattern. So, and this is a link for a YouTube video, and you can watch this 5 minutes YouTube video at your leisure, and you can find out that there is the video nicely explains how the Raman effect happens. Okay, so you can watch this at your leisure. I will share the PDF of this presentation with you on our WhatsApp group. You can watch it at your leisure, and you can find out an interesting fact about the Raman effect. Now, next point is, what is Raman spectrum? The Raman spectrum of a scattered light is the characteristic property of a scattering substance. So it has been found that the scattered light is independent of incident radiation. So whatever the incident light you are using, that is nothing to do with the Raman shift. The Raman shift is dependent on what? The Raman spectrum, which is of a scattered light, is a characteristic of a scattering substance. So Raman shift is essentially, what is Raman shift? I will tell you from the next picture that will be coming through very soon. Yeah, this one. So in the Raman spectrum, you get 3 sets of line. The first line is called Rayleigh line, where the frequency of the scattered light is equal to the frequency of incident light. Now, some people explain the Raman spectrum in terms of wave number. So nu can be converted into nu bar. You know, nu bar is what? Nu bar is the wave number of the spectral line, isn't it? So you in Raman spectrum, you get a Rayleigh line for which the frequency of the scattered light is equal to the frequency of the incident light. In addition to this, so this is not new actually. What is new was of the observance of the Stokes and the anti-Stokes line. So what the lines which are having the frequency smaller than the incident one, they are referred as Stokes lines, and it appears left to the Rayleigh line in the Raman spectrum. And whereas anti-Stokes lines, which are having the frequency of the scattered line greater than the frequency of the incident light, these are called as anti-Stokes lines. So Stokes, anti-Stokes, and Rayleigh line constitutes the Raman spectrum. Now have a look at the color also. I have used the black color for Rayleigh line, blue color for the Stokes lines, and the red color for the anti-Stokes lines, isn't it? So this is an interesting part. Now, what are the characteristics of a Raman spectrum? Now, why this line appears and other things we will see little later. Now, what are the characteristics of a Raman spectrum? As I mentioned, that Raman shift is independent of a frequency of incident light, but is the characteristic of a substance. It means that Raman spectrum can be a very important tool for the to the organic chemist, because to the chemist as such, not organic chemist, to all chemists. The reason is the Raman shift is dependent on a substance. If you change the substance, Raman shift will change. It means that from the Raman spectrum, you can draw some conclusion regarding the structure of the molecule. So this is a representative example. This is a representative Raman spectrum of potassium permanganate. So you will get a Rayleigh line here, right? You will get a Rayleigh line here in the center, and you will get the Stokes lines on the left of it and anti-Stokes lines on the right of it. What are the things to be observed from this? But values are not to be remembered. Just have a look at the picture. You can simply draw one line in the center, or you can label it as Rayleigh line, and you can draw multiple lines, equidistant lines. I mean, the distance between the lines should be same. Means distance between the first Stokes and distance between first anti-Stokes should be the same. Distance between first Stokes and second Stokes and the Rayleigh line, it should be same as that of the second anti-Stokes and the Rayleigh line. ये distance सही का रहना चाहिए. Okay. Now what are the characteristics? The characteristics will tell you that the intensity of the Stokes lines is always greater than anti-Stokes lines. You see the intensity. This is the axis of intensity. So these peaks are higher as compared to this one. So blue peaks are less in intensity as compared to the red one. So the intensity of the Stokes lines is always greater than the anti-Stokes line. And the Raman chip generally lies in the far and the near IR region. Why far and the near IR? Because Raman spectroscopy involves the rotational and the vibrational transition. Then Raman lines are symmetrically displaced about the Rayleigh line. As I mentioned that these lines should be equidistant. First Stokes and first anti-Stokes should be equidistant from the Rayleigh line. Second Stokes and the second anti-Stokes should be equidistant from the Rayleigh line. And Raman lines are due to the change in the polarization of the molecule. This is again an important parameter related to the Raman spectrum. So there may be a question on the examination. There may be a question in the examination related to the characteristic of a Raman spectrum. Now, which molecule will be Raman active? Which molecule will be Raman active can be understood well if you consider the classical mechanics before your eye. So you have to keep a classical approach. So what is the condition for a molecule to be Raman active? A particular vibration or rotation. A particular vibration or a rotation, it should be accompanied by a change in the polarization of the molecule. There should be a change in the polarization of the molecule when vibrational or rotational transition takes place. This is the condition for a Raman active molecule. If there is no change in polarization due to the vibration or rotation, then it will be Raman inactive. Now, to understand the concept of polarization, we need to understand how the molecule get polarized. So, when a molecule is placed under external electric field, it suffers some distortion. Why it suffers some distortion? Because you know that molecule consists of electrons and nuclei. So electrons will be attracted, electrons and nuclei will be attracted towards the opposite pole. And as a result, the dipole moment is induced. There is no permanent dipole moment. There can be a permanent dipole moment, means that is not a condition whether a molecule is having the permanent dipole moment or not. But the dipole moment is induced because of the charge separation in the molecule under the electric field, and the molecule is said to be polarized. It is just like you might have seen if you play a cricket with the say cork ball or the leather ball, you will see that the ball will rarely get distorted. But if you play with a sponge ball or a rubber ball, and if you hit it with a enormous power, what will happen? You might see that the symmetric spherical shape of the ball, it changes into an ellipsoid, isn't it? So that is a very good example to understand how the molecule get polarized. Polarization means what? Separation of positive and negative pole in the molecule. If the molecule is spherical, like just like a ball, if a ball is spherical, then what will happen? If the ball is spherical, there will not be a separation of charge. The positive and negative charge will be uniformly distributed and the net charge would be zero. On the contrary, when you put it under external electric field, or when you apply enormous power on a rubber ball or a sponge ball, what will happen? It gets elongated. So that is referred as what? That is referred as polarization of a molecule. Now, to understand this, we have to consider that if mu is the magnitude of induced dipole moment, and E is the strength of the field, electric field, then mu is equal to alpha into E, where Mu is the magnitude, E is the electric strength of the electric field, and alpha is the polarizability of the molecule. It is a characteristic of a molecule. Alpha is a polarizability. Polarizability, the word itself indicates, if you split polarizability into two, means ability to get polarized is polarizability. So as I given you the example of a leather ball or a cork ball and the sponge ball, which one is more polarizable? Which one is more polarizable? Which is having the greater polarizability? The sponge ball is having the greater polarizability as compared to the leather ball or the cork ball. So in a nutshell, you can see that homonuclear diatomic molecules, they are Raman active. Why they are Raman active? Homonuclear diatomic molecule means a spherical ball. Why? Because when they are placed in the electric field, there is a change in the polarization due to the rotation or vibration. So when rotation or vibration takes place in it, what will happen? There will be a change in the polarization of the molecule, and that is why they are Raman active. In contrast to the microwave and the IR, you know that homonuclear diatomic molecules are microwave inactive, because they do not possess permanent dipole moment. So what is the word here missing in case of Raman and the microwave? Permanent dipole moment. Whereas what is the condition for the Raman active? There should be a change in the polarization. And homonuclear diatomic molecules are IR inactive because there is no change in the dipole moment during the vibration. So homonuclear diatomic molecules are microwave inactive, IR inactive, however they are Raman active. So why they are Raman active? Because there is a change in the polarization during the vibration or rotation. Why they are microwave inactive? Because they do not possess permanent dipole moment. Why they are in IR inactive? There is no change in the dipole moment during the vibration. So these are the conditions that will give you. So Raman spectroscopy can also be considered as a supplementary tool for IR and the rotational spectroscopy, because you cannot study the homonuclear diatomic molecules by IR or microwave spectroscopy, but you can study these molecules by the Raman spectroscopy. So there can be a MCQ question on this related to the IR active, microwave active, and Raman active related to the homonuclear diatomic molecule. So with these, I will stop, right? And now, just a minute. With these, I will stop recording because